All right, so normally when we're talking about the Democratic Party, it's difficult to know whether or not they are simply incompetent and don't know how to fight for the things that they say that they believe in, or if it's that they are corrupt and don't actually believe in the things that they say that they believe in. I honestly think that it's a pretty healthy mix between these two things, and I have an example here that is a perfect encapsulation of this idea of not just how Joe Biden is disconnected from the American people, how he's disconnected from the current political moment, but also how he's disconnected from the 8 years that he spent under Obama, where the Republican Party didn't work with them in good faith on literally anything. And it seems like he's setting himself up to fall for these same exact traps yet again. So Biden trims infrastructure plan to 1.7 trillion. GOP wants more cuts. All right, so here's what they have to say at the Wall Street Journal. A slimmed-down White House proposal aimed at kickstarting bipartisan infrastructure negotiations fell flat with Senate Republicans, leaving fundamental questions no closer to resolution days before the Memorial Day target for progress in the faltering talks. The White House lowered its proposed spending on highways and broadband and shifted some programs into other legislation in its new offer. Those changes put the overall price tag at 1.7 trillion, down from roughly 2.3 trillion in the initial White House plan, but still well above the Republican lawmakers' $568 billion offer. Quote, "In our view, this is the art of seeking common ground," says Jen Psaki. Hours later, Senate Republicans said the offer remained well above the range of what can pass Congress with bipartisan support. The two sides remained divided on every aspect of a possible deal, including its size, scope, and how to pay for it, according to a statement from a spokeswoman for the GOP negotiator, Senator Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia. So, Joe Biden is negotiating with Republicans as they are openly saying, this is not even close, okay? They put a $568 billion counteroffer, and that's not $568 billion in 1 year. That's $568 billion stretched over 8 years, 10 years. Okay, Joe Biden's original plan of $2.3 trillion over 8 years it was, that's like roughly a third yearly of what we are spending on our military budget. That's what he thinks is a once-in-a-generation, as he called it, investment in our infrastructure. Our infrastructure, by the way, which gets a grade of a D+. Okay, a D+. Here's what the American Society of Civil Engineers estimates that we actually need in order to bring our infrastructure up to par. So the 2017 report card also highlights the projected total investment required to bring the current infrastructure to a grade of a B, what the American Society for Civil Engineers considers to be an adequate grade. The ASCE estimates that by 2025, a total investment of $4.59 trillion is required to improve the nation's infrastructure. So the American Society of Civil Engineers, the experts on this issue, are saying that we need a minimum of close to $5 trillion over the next 5 years, right? So this is what they're saying we need to spend by 2025 on infrastructure to get our infrastructure up to a grade of a B, okay? To a grade of a B. That is average. Now, I'm not a big fan of like American exceptionalism and stuff, but I want our infrastructure to be the best in the world. Okay, I don't want all these other countries like China and stuff investing in these, crazy high-speed rails, and we're not doing any of that. Why would we want that? Investing in infrastructure is the best investment you can possibly make. It's a direct investment in expanding the economy. It pays for itself. And yet, Joe Biden is trying to negotiate down with Republicans who are openly saying, we are not going to work with you in good faith. So the Republican Party is not going to vote for a single piece of this infrastructure. There's zero chance they're going to vote for any of this if Joe Biden is raising the corporate tax rate at all. And the main problem with that is that in Joe Biden's eyes, because he's, an austerity-minded dipshit, is he thinks that there is a one-to-one correlation that you need to tax X amount in order to spend X amount. That's not how government spending works at all. It's not true. You don't need to tax X amount in order to spend X amount. In fact, you can just spend X amount, and then that will pay for itself over time as you are investing in infrastructure that benefits the economy. So it creates jobs, it expands the economy, it pays for itself down the line. And yet this is not how he sees it. He still thinks that you need that one-to-one correlation. And because of that, because he's willing to negotiate with the Joe Manchins of the world and his own party, and because he's willing to negotiate with the Republican Party for absolutely no goddamn reason, he's willing to water this entire plan down. And he's willing to cut how much he's going to spend in it. Now, they're passing this bill regardless through the process of budget reconciliation. Okay, so him trying to reach out to Republicans is 100% just virtue signaling. Okay, and maybe this makes me a radical, maybe this is crazy, but I think that the American people who overwhelmingly already favored Joe Biden's plan, including the tax hikes on the wealthy, I'm willing to bet that the American people don't give a shit how you pass this bill as long as it gets passed. I'm willing to bet that the American people don't give a shit about bipartisanship if it means watering down much needed infrastructure spending and the creation of new jobs. Okay? I think that's a pretty safe bet. And yet, Joe Biden is not willing to take that bet. He's willing to negotiate with corrupt Republicans who don't stand for anything other than cutting taxes for the rich and deregulation. Okay? So it's because Joe Biden either is completely incompetent and forgot what happened under the Obama years, or it's because he just simply doesn't believe in the stuff that he is claiming that he believes in. Because what happened under the Obama administration, if you remember, like with the Affordable Care Act, it was a perfect example. The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, was originally a Heritage Foundation plan, a right-wing think tank plan. And even then, and even after significant negotiations that watered it down, zero Republicans voted for it. Zero. So Obama and Biden, okay, he had firsthand experience in this entire situation, they continuously fell for this trap of working with Republicans, assuming that they would, in the end, support them on the legislation, and they never did. So why would you fall for this same trap again? It just makes absolutely no sense, but it's the mindset that Joe Biden is going towards. So listen, I don't want anybody to tell me that Joe Biden is anything close to FDR, because this is not what FDR would be doing. Okay, believe it or not, FDR was actually listening more so to the socialists and the communists back in those days when we actually had some in this country that had any leverage and power at their disposal. And he was not engaging with the other side on watering down big structural pieces of legislation. So Joe Biden is not the FDR of our generation. He's nothing close to it. He's still an austerity-minded hawk on all of these issues. And you see it here because not only was his original plan not enough, okay, the $2.3 trillion over 8 years, not only was that not even close to enough according to what the experts say, but now he's going to water it down significantly further and for literally no reason.